Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our brother Ezekiel, I've listened to you very carefully. And on the first point, you have contended that you do not need knowledge in geology to propagate the Word of God. And you have attributed that to the fact that Jesus didn't have that kind of training. With humility, allow me to remind you that you are not Jesus. And your pastors seated behind you are not Jesus. I believe, and many people who have gone to school well believe that theology is a very complex subject. Would you allow me and this committee to legislate so that all pastors must have training in theology, your history notwithstanding? That's question number one. Question number two, Pastor, the issue of financial exploitation of members of the public by some pastors, owners of churches, etc. Would you allow us and would you help us to format a way in which we can insulate Christians and Muslims and all churchgoers? We insulate them from exploitation. I know you have given us the example of saying that all the money that you have, you expend on church activities. That answer does not inspire me. It doesn't inspire me, sir, because even in the case of Jim Jones, 1978, from Koyana, when he massacred 900 Christians who believed in him, subsequent to his death, it was found that he had a network of bank accounts, secret bank accounts. Could you tell Kenyans today, following these proceedings, and on your own word, not on the word of the lawyers, whether you don't have a network of secret bank accounts? Why, my brother Ezekiel? Because, admirably, you have grown your wealth over the time of the last 11 years. You've grown your wealth from a young keyboard player in Pastor Muiru's church and become a billionaire. According to the records that we pick from Google, you are a billionaire. Could you confirm, deny or otherwise, that these billions have either been raised from exploiting members of your church or that you are doing clean business? And if you are doing clean business, could you tell us what are those business practices? It's a fair question. It is not personal. It is intended to help us to protect the public. And the two lawyers on your either side, the reason why they are lawyers, my brother, is because there exists legislation that allows them to practice law. So if you want to protect society, to allow society to remain orderly, you must do legislation. So because of the shock of the deaths of Shakahola, we have said never again should it happen. And if it must take legislation, we want to commit ourselves to legislate. Finally, but not least, the issue of the podium being used to incite members of the public in the name of The Lord has told me, the Lord has shown me that leader X or coalition Y or party Z is the wrong one. How can you help us to legislate so that we contain that? And I'm glad you have referred to the post-election violence of 2007. I think Shakahola is worse than the post-election violence. Because post-election violence, people were competing, but in Shakahola, the unsuspecting public, and I speak from Kakamega, where many of them have been buried in Shakahola. I have attended Vagio funerals back home in Mumias, funerals back home in Shinyalu, in Ekolomani, in Butere. Thanks to that, what happened? Pastor, help us. What can we do? It's not enough for you to again and again keep on telling us it is from the teeth or the contribution is the church that I have met this world. Be a man of God today, in the interest of the people who are lying dead today. I speak for Mangi, a little boy of 8 years old. When the police arrived in Shakahola, he was standing outside the homestead, and his parents were not there. And he said, Papa na Mama wameenda harusi. And when they ask what is that, it is what the chairman has been guiding you, where you are reported to have presided over such an event. And Mangi, who I speak for, 8 years old, is alive. He showed the police 2 graves, fresh ones, and told them, here lies my 2 elder brothers who were buried. Open up, my brother. I want to be proud of you. Kenya wants to be proud of you. The man on your left, Omari, he knows me. He normally saves me in my political turmoils. The man on your right, he knows me very well. We walk the same political journey. When you disown political leaders, and the Standard newspaper reported that on the 6th of May, you are visited by one of the political leaders of one of the coalition, and he came with governors and members of parliament. Have you come to lie? Your lawyers will advise you. 6th of May. He was there, and photographs were splashed. You tell us that the only time you have associated with us politicians is when we're in church. But in this photograph, you are in a state-of-the-art room suggesting that could be your residence in Shakahola. I beg you, my brother, if you believe in God, as many of us do, the children who are today lying dead or orphans because of scriptural preachings deserve that we open up, brother, we stop this thing. And finally, I congratulate you for using this podium today, this platform, so not podium, but this platform today to condemn what happened in Shakahola. In my other life, I'm a doctor. You cannot have a place which is frequented by 45,000 people. I don't know if it's on a daily basis or weekly basis, and they don't fall ill. And people who are ill die. Tell us about the people who die in Uvuleni. What do you normally do with them?
Senator Cherargei.
Chair, thank you very much. I will just, I've seen our brother, Pastor Ezekiel, has answered a number of questions.
Point of order, Chair.
From where?
So that I don't forget, allow me to answer this. There are very many. Please. Then I will answer his question. I humbly request.
No. What I thought was he finishes so that when you speak, we wind up. Unless there's something very big, we wind up and we close the whole thing.
Your position
Yes.
granted, Chair.
Continue.
Thank you, Pastor Ezekiel, and it is finally good to meet you in person. And I was sent by your friends from Tanzania, and they are greeting you. And I'm giving you an offer. I heard you came with only what I would receive after the session. Chair, just 3 questions in the interest of the good job that you are doing. And this is serious. One, because I'll be precise, Pastor Ezekiel, what is the registration status of the New Life International Life Church as at now? Is it interim? Has it been cancelled? Is it active? Number 1. Number 2, have you been threatened by anyone, known to you or unknown to you, in the course of what happened in Shakahola massacre, or what happened in Shakahola? Have you been threatened either in person, by people known to you or unknown to you in the course of your life? Because I was watching some of your preachings when you were doing a crusade online, and you are saying that somebody was threatening you. So, number 2. Number 3, just out of curiosity, you know there are healing sessions. Chair, and when this thing came up, I've been following keenly when our brother is preaching. There are people who come to be prayed to be healed, and some of us who are Christians believe in the power of healing. Are there at some point in the course of your services, through your handlers and your staff, have become critically sick? Do you have data of them? Unfortunately, some of them are passed on within your compound, and do you have biodata of the same? Number 4, this New Life TV and Times TV that was owned by Mr. Mackenzie, who is facing criminal charges in court, is there any relationship? Or after paying 500,000, you left that pursuit of Times TV and acquired a New Life International TV that is bought in TV and online? And I must appreciate too that you are doing very well on online services. Finally, on the bank accounts.
Yes.
Point of interjection. If you could repeat the same question, please.
The same question. Yes, on Times TV. Is there a relationship between Times TV that was owned by Mr. Mackenzie when you tried to acquire a New Life TV? Is it the same? Did you transit, or you left acquiring of Times TV by Mr. Mackenzie and you acquired your own frequency, which is in use now? Finally, these bank accounts, M-Pesa pay bill, are you one of the signatories? And to just add on it, you have told us all these investments, and I saw my brother on a light note, my brother Senator Eddie was excited when you talk about investments because he sits in PIC. Are all these investments under the name of the New Life Church? Number 1. Number 2, if I go today to registrar of companies, are you one of the directors who own some of these investments? And finally on that,
please repeat that number.
Then I repeat
I've
again.
recorded the signatory part. Then
okay.
The question
the
that
investments. In these investments, you say they are registered under the church. If I go today to registrar of companies or a registrar of societies, will I, and the good learned senior of mine will advise you, will I get your name as part of the directors or in any form or managers? Will I get it? Finally, what Senator Boni asked, do you have your own wealth outside the church investments? And have you been anyway, since investigations began, subjected to lifestyle audit by any government agency, including EACC and others? And finally, what is your opinion?
If you could repeat that. You are very fast, and I'm used to Madabau.
Okay. Sorry. I'll repeat. I'll take that again.
Yes, thank you.
And relax. I'm your supporter and follower, so relax. And I believe in what you are doing, and I'm a good Christian. What I'm just saying is, outside these investments, when I go to company, registrar of companies or registrar of societies, will I be able to find your name as among directors or any other position that manages the church and the investment? Number one. Number two is, do you have wealth outside the investment of the church that belongs to Pastor Ezekiel or Odera as a person, like a garden, like a shamba, like a rental property? You know what I mean? And since investigations began, have you been subjected to lifestyle audit by the investigative agencies, including EACC or the rest? And finally, what is your position on the regulation of religious organization? Personally, I don't believe that the government should come and self-regulate what happens in religious organization. But to assist us in making progress, what do you think? What do you think? And Senator Eddy, relax, because I'll not sign the report, I'll not write the report, I'm just a friend of the committee. Finally, what is your position in government coming in to regulate the religious activities? Outside the normal regulation we have of through registrar of societies, filing of returns, among others. Would you want a situation, for example, Chair, would you want a situation that the DCI or the government will come and say, Pastor Ezekiel Odero, you are preaching on prosperity gospel according to the gospel of Matthew? The government goes and look at the sermon
and
says
Chair.
it is okay.
Point of order.
Yes.
Chair, I respect, he's a ranking member, Senator Cheragei.
Yes.
And this question is actually really valid.
Yes.
But I wanted to ask whether it is in order
Yes.
to actually lead the witness into a path of how to answer those questions. He has asked a question, but he's now leading the witness on how to answer that question. And I don't think that's appropriate.
Okay, just rephrase.
I will refrain. I don't want to
rephrase the question.
I will rephrase. I don't want to take the jobs of Cliff and Mawakili who are there. Maybe I'm also looking for a job. A quick one. I'm just saying, for example, do you think a situation where the government will come and tell you, Pastor Ezekiel Odero and our senior dad pastor, Pastor Muiru, would come and say, before you preach on Sunday, bring all the summonses to DCI, we go through, then you go and preach. Would you want such a regulation? I'm just using an example. Would you want such a regulation? That is my position. And finally, Pastor, we wish you well. Don't be bullied by social media. As we are victims of social media and we don't care about it, continue preaching the gospel of the Lord. And may the good Lord guide you and bless you. I thank you, Chair, with that indulgence.
Thank you. Pastor, I wanted you to take us through, and then when you finish, you give us your closing remarks. Yeah. Allow him to talk. Let him start first. We finished here. Pastor,
Thank you.
Let's make progress.
Thank you, Chair. More than 20 questions, but I will try to answer.
Just do the best. Fast.
Now, concerning the regulation of churches and activities, I will answer this, and I believe it will help me to say I've answered. Once I've answered that question from Honorable Boni Khalwale, I've answered.
Yeah, and indeed, some of them you had actually alluded to them previously, so you can also indicate that this one, Mr. Chairman, I had dealt with.
Thank you, Your Chair.
So that we can move faster.
The aspect of regulating the churches, I think I dealt on that, and I said, let us be sober. When we do things with emotions, we are likely to make mistakes. When something of this magnitude has occurred, we need soberness, so that when we touch on the regulation of the churches, not only churches, because the massacre of Shakahola, I don't think it dealt with money. So if we are regulating churches, where do we leave our brothers who go to mosques and our sisters who go to the temple and those who go to wachawi? Because waganga wanapewa certificate in the pretense ya kwamba ni traditional healers. Sadaka yao huwa wanapelekanga wapi? Hakuna mtu ameita mganga akamuuliza tangia upewe certificate, show cause ile sadaka yako unapelekanga wapi na umesomesha mtoto gani?
I don't know.
So,
Pastor Ezekiel, maybe you can.
This is just an example, sir.
Yeah, because I don't know whether the mandate, our mandate goes to examining wagangas as well. I think
they are
related to religious organizations. So maybe you can answer those questions.
Your Chair, they are registered under religious societies. Yes.
Societies Act.
Yes.
Okay. Let's go.
We share the same certificates.
Yeah, that's why I think.
So as a sign of humor, Your Chair,
yes.
My father and my friend from today.
Chair, point of order.
Yes, point of order, Chair.
The reason why I wanted 1 minute is because some questions were asked within the mandate of this committee, but they weren't framed, and I wanted to caution us not to mislead the witness. So, for instance, when a question is asked that do you want us to regulate churches, it is a bias. It's not what this committee is doing. This committee is looking at all religious organizations.
It's quite
and,
right.
And that's why I wanted to just guide him so that it doesn't get boxed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. I believe he has put it correctly.
All right.
If we are going to use soberness and involve the church and the imams and the sheikhs and the leaders of the temples to sit down as a community with sobriety and discuss this matter, then we will come up with a good framework on how to look into this matter.
Okay.
When we put a person or an event in our focus, we might do something that tomorrow we might be forced to change the same law. Like now, we are thinking on how to change the 2010 Constitution because some of the things we did emotionally. So it requires a lot of sobriety. I will never say do this or do that because currently whatever we have gone through is very bad and should never repeat itself. So we need a lot of sobriety in considering this.
Yes.
Money laundering and influence from money given to the church.
You dealt with that.
I dealt with that.
Go the next.
Noise pollution. And he put it this way, that no problem with crusades. But churches and other religious organizations may be, let us put it, mushrooming around. Is it good that we control? It is good that we use a good formula to look into this. I don't have a position, but I would like to do it this way. It means we are going to tell all the imams that when you pray 5 times a day, remove the horn speakers, because the churches and the mosques are situated near other residential areas. So we are going to be forced to tell the churches, church preachers, and the imams, please remove the horn speakers and stop doing this. That's why I still call upon sobriety, so that we don't infringe on the rights of Muslims and don't infringe on the rights of Christians.
Yes, Senator. The mosques, Pastor Ezekiel, the mosques don't play music. They never do. They read verses of the Quran. No, that is misinformation. Chair, I think that point is valid.
Honorable Chair.
Chair, I think also it is good to be fair. When they read, they recite. It is good to say recitation, which is the same as, it's not music, but it's musical.
Okay, may I just say, I think the bigger point is on noise pollution. So let the witness give his evidence, and then we will debate all these things when we are doing the report writing. So
thank you, Chair, for defending me against the honorable aggressiveness of thank you, Chair. Now
okay, just proceed. Maybe don't be moved too much. We are all like that.
I'm just using humor
on the issue.
I'm just using humor so that we don't become emotional when we are going through this. You know, when you give.
Okay, don't explain. Go to answer the questions.
On that, I still stand with my position. Sobriety is very important, so that we don't infringe on other religious organizations like our brothers Muslims, to stop them, because noise is noise. Whether it is a baby crying, or a music being played, or a bang from a road collision between vehicles, when it is constant, it becomes noise. So we need sobriety. Handling of people, maybe female, I think that is where the umbrella bodies fall.
Yes.
When something happens in a certain church that is affiliated to a certain umbrella body, the body can be invited by a good body like the Senate and ask them, we have seen this. What have you done with this? What have you done about this church? Yeah. That's where I think the umbrella body falls, so that we don't repeat the same mistakes that have occurred.
Yes.
And the body parts, how do you handle the sick? When you lead a congregation of that magnitude, and somebody maybe from within or without talks about body parts, and nobody, not even a single person, has come out to say, my nephew or my brother who was taken to this church, when we buried him, there was no body part. Because we talk about Shakahola, and we ask Pastor Ezekiel about body parts, and Pastor Ezekiel has never gone to Shakahola, has never attended any burial. I presume that this question is kind of, with humility, irrelevant to me to answer, because
what you do, if the question is, you just say that no, this one,
thank you.
We did not participate in any body parts or whatever, sale or buying, then you go to the next one. You don't have to explain so much.
Thank you, Your Honor. When somebody comes to our church, and this person is a sick person, and supposedly something happens to him, like death, I said and I stated that this person is not allowed in our church premises, any seriously sick person, without somebody, a guardian.
Yes.
So when anything happens like such, this guardian is taken with all documents to report to the police, number one.
Yes.
Then from the police gives guidance on how to handle this. Because since we stepped in Mavueni, we were introduced to the OCPD by then, the OCS, and they were there. And for your information, the committee, the former area OCPD retired. And when he retired, we absorbed him as the head of our church security. Because he has vast information about security matters. And when you handle over 45,000 people, you need somebody who has experience. So that is what we do. We don't, okay, this one is seriously sick, he has died, no. We follow the right procedure. The police takes action from there, not the church. Because we don't admit anybody to be prayed for who is sick without a guardian. And when that person comes, nowadays, not before, nowadays, we have a registered nurse.
Yes.
Who checks into the lives of these people, the danger. Because they might come in the morning at around 11. I pray for the same person at around 5. The duration is a bit long. So we see, she recommends who is admitted and who is supposed to go to the hospital before she or he comes. That's what we do. And, okay, radicalization, schooling of children, stopping children from schooling, I think we have touched on that. We will have all the records taking the children to school. Thank you so much.
You covered.
Theology, you are against, I think I put it right, I'm not against theology. And should you allow theology first, I had put my position that theology is very important. And when we work on that, when someone has a calling, through the umbrella body, they will recommend, you have a calling, that is your church, we know you, but go to the school because this one is important. So that one will guide us. And financial exploitation, should we insulate them from exploitation by imposing law? I think I touched on that when someone is a preacher, and because if you want to tell a preacher, how much money did you get yesterday? 30,000. Okay, you go do this, not this. It means even the ministers of in the church won't receive financial assistance because the government says, do this, do this. I think through the umbrella bodies, it is very easy to follow where the money goes. You call him, this man is this pastor. Where does he take his money? So it is very easy to get the information through the umbrella bodies. And the network of secret banks, accounts, I think through the government and their investigation, if I had any network of secret banks account abroad, zingekuwa kwa media na huenda ningelikuwa na kama iko yangu, hiyo pesa natamani ichukuliwe, na kama niliweka nisipewe, sina. And the verdict is out there. You have grown your wealth and become a billionaire. I will rephrase it this way. I said nothing except the 3 vehicles or 2, and I've given explanation through the administrator, that are registered because of Team's account problem. I would advise anybody to go to the ground and check. I think I even have some samples of title deeds. Which property that belongs to New Life is registered in the name of Ezekiel? None. And I would like, I don't want to put it as emotion, the chair to also guide the Honorable Senate, maybe to go to my fellow preachers and ask them, Ezekiel has none. How many or how much do you have? Because if I am guilty, punished, innocent, let us look for the culprit or the guilty, so that it should not be seen as Ezekiel, not the regulation. Okay, I'm not a billionaire because I don't own anything, plus this watch and my vest. And I thank God for that grace. I thank God for that grace. I'm not a billionaire, but New Life is trying to do what it can. The podium, I said there were many, but
Yes.
the podium used to give prophecies on things like elections, who will win. This one is all over the world, but what matters is the political condition and the environment in a certain country. It can inflame, it can explode or cause political explosion.
Yes.
After the election, when somebody gives that prophecy. I think this one should be guided by the preachers themselves and see, when you give such a prophecy, the aftermath, what happens next? So wisdom is required on how we give our prophecies depending on the political situation of a country.
Yes.
Because even if you don't do it in Kenya, a preacher, I can remember when did we hold our election? Last year.
Yes, yeah.
Before our election, even a preacher from outside Kenya came and he put on the flag of Kenya and he said, this will become the president of Kenya. So when we handle this, sobriety and carefulness, what is the political environment of this country, so that we don't ban the country tomorrow? That's what we require. You attended the burials of Shakahola victims, not from, okay. And Honorable Senator, a good senator in our country, and I thank God for his contribution, immense contribution towards the development of our country and the governance, saying it is presumed your attendance to those burials. I've put it clear, I've never attended.
Yes.
And when we talk about this boy, Mangi, if Mangi said, Chair, Pastor Ezekiel presided over the burial of my father, because when that person was dying and being buried and he said Pastor Ezekiel presided, Mangi was there. Mangi was a witness. Mangi has never talked about Pastor Ezekiel. Why should we drag his name in a place where even a young boy who cannot be coached because of emotion did not mention him, and then I or someone says, you? It is as if you are against him or provoking his anger. But I will put it this way. I would desire if Mangi could mention, I witnessed Ezekiel burying my father. That one is very important. And let us not do things or say things that will hurt those who are our brothers and their victims, or make people think that, oh, it is true, he was there. Because we are honorable members and we are dealing with brothers who are still going through agony, pain, and suffering, and psychological and emotional torture. I did not do that, and I will never do that, and I pray it never happens to anybody or for anybody.
Yes.
The leader who came, I said I will always say the truth, and I will say the truth, who visited our church compound. Honorable Raila Odinga visited our church compound.
Yes.
He was from Shakahola. That's how he put it to me. And I was requested, Pastor, Honorable Raila Odinga is from Shakahola, and he would like to see your church because you've been mentioned. I called him, the lawyers. I called them. I asked them, what should I do? And I called my spiritual father, because I believe there is somebody who is above you spiritually, and even in matters law, they should guide me. They told me, Pastor, the lawyers, when he comes, we must be there, so that you don't and he doesn't talk about anything about this issue. And my spiritual father told me, if you tell him not to come, it means you are hiding something. So allow him to come, but follow the rules of the court. So I said, because I have nothing to hide, sir, just come. He came, and I took him everywhere. And he was there. Even when we were talking, he was there. And why should we cry about maybe a leader who saw it good to verify the difference between Shakahola and New Life, and some of us who are mandated to verify that refuse to come, and we punish a leader who decided to come even without invitation? We invited those who were appointed by His Excellency the President to verify this. They refused. To make matters worse, some of them are our spiritual fathers. If you talk about your spiritual son in the gospel and you say, I want to go there, then a political leader says, I have a responsibility, I have a following, I want to know whether you are right or wrong. Why should I tell him not to come? I'm still requesting, even now, that our leaders attend and come. So I could not deny him that opportunity. If I did, I think the Honorable Senator would have asked me, why did you stop that leader from coming? What were you hiding? And that is why I allowed him through their advice and his advice, for clarity and openness.
Okay, next.
I didn't invite him. And no politics with him.
Point of order, Chair.
Allow him to make progress.
No, it's progress still. You know, this issue came previously as an issue of association with leaders.
No, political affiliation.
Political affiliation, that's what
And he said he doesn't
yes.
belong to any.
And I was just trying to clarify that. And remember, he also said that one of his highlight moments in his life is when he organized for Kasarani, crusade, which was his biggest. And that Kasarani, there were also other leaders too who were involved. Could you also clarify, in context of the same, how that came about?
Thank you, Chair, for permitting that.
Okay.
The honorable leader who came, Her Excellency, the second lady, Mrs. Regadi, she is a spiritual sister to me. I will never deny that.
Yes.
He is a father to me. He is a father to her. When she comes to attend my crusade, and she says, Pastor, can I greet them? Yes, she has never mentioned anything political. She talks about God. So if I tell her, don't come, it means I'm affiliated either to the opposite party. And she comes from another party. That is why I say, no politics on our altar.
Yes.
And there will never be. Okay. That is what we do. In our church, I would dare ask anybody to mention.
I think, Chair, the witness, we are satisfied with that explanation.
Yes, so let's make progress.
Thank you, Chair.
Let's make progress. Maybe you can give short answers.
I will.
You can see the mood of the House is now tired.
I will.
Yeah.
I will. Okay. The registration status of our certificate. With speed, the certificate...
you already answered that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any threat from people known to you or unknown to you? I don't think. Okay. And I don't think I've mentioned that.
Next.
We are very friendly people. Maybe only only the roadblocks that were put there. Number 11, when sick people comes to our church, I think I've dealt on that.
Yes.
The relationship between Times TV and New Life TV, I think I touched on that.
Yes.
And I'm being reminded, which is true. I saw a certain TV station written Times TV. I don't know whether it is the same Times TV. And when it was reinstated, who investigated it? What was the verdict? And why? How was it allowed to be back on air? I saw something like that. Are you signatory to any bank account? I need to be a signatory to the church bank account. How can you lead a church without being a signatory? What if the money is mismanaged? Who was called and who has the vision of the ministry? Yes, I am. Are you part of the directors of these companies? We don't have companies belonging to Ezekiel. We have church hotel belonging to church. We have the school belonging to church. Am I part of the signatories? Yes. Who conceived the vision of the school? How can you conceive the vision of a country like the late President Kenyatta, then you don't become part of the cabinet of that government? So it means it was not your vision. And that is the only way to regulate and check, institute checks and balances on how those who manage those institutions can manage them properly. So I am one.
Yes.
Do you have personal wealth? I stated none.
Yes.
Maybe cuckoo.
Yes.
Have you been subjected to lifestyle audit? I would request that to be done tomorrow.
Okay.
Regulation of churches, we worked on that.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Your Honor. And
Well,
without forgetting, please, Your Honor, if it is possible to commit the committee in this, that you would come to New Life, please, I will be the happiest person, and my father will be happy.
Okay. So we have